In front of 37 people, he called me a burden. No warning, just a curl of his lip, a sip of smoothie, and he threw me off a cliff. But I was ready, and on Monday, he'll watch his empire tremble. I'm Sarah, Director of Supply Chain Strategy at Whitmore Corp. For 12 years, I built our logistics system from the ground up. 3 crises survived, 1 multi-million-dollar deal closed while my father was dying. Bradley Whitmore didn't know. He never asked. He never cared. The CEO's son, jaw sharp as razors, resume polished by his father's assistant. Rumor says his last job lasted 9 months, ended for stealing ideas from a YouTuber. Now he's transformation consultant, which means nothing, except the law won't let him be CEO yet. In the meeting, he leaned on the whiteboard, cut me off mid-slide. Legacy employees are obstacles. Why keep them? The room went silent. No one laughed. No one moved. Only my pride burned. I said nothing, closed the PowerPoint, nodded to the team, walked out. In the restroom, I locked the stall, sat down, and stared at black tile. Counted 12 cracks, 1 for each year I gave. I'd seen layoffs, entire departments erased, but this felt different, colder, personal. I wasn't a target, I was already discarded. His voice echoed, smug, not angry, certain. He had a plan. Back at my desk, a sticky note. Bradley wants to see you, 4 p.m. I texted my husband, it happened. He replied, I've got champagne, or a shotgun. At 4, I entered the glass meeting room. Bradley sat flanked by 2 HR reps, one with the smile of someone who just ended a mortgage. Sarah, he said, like we were old friends, we're pivoting. Leaner model, this is a chance for you to reinvent. He slid a folder across. Generous severance, 6-month salary bonus, full stock options. I looked at him. You want me to leave happy and quiet? He smiled, smug like he invented chess. I want you to land safely. Not kindness, insurance. I signed, shook hands, smiled, left like I was heading to brunch. At home, I opened a bottle of Sauterne, older than his social media accounts. Then I retrieved the folder I'd hidden 6 months ago, the Moga acquisition files. Bradley didn't know I'd been negotiating with Moga, a key transportation provider. Didn't know I flew to Houston, met the founder mid-divorce, and walked away with a promise on a napkin and a silent NDA. Didn't know anything, but he will. Monday, I didn't sleep. Adrenaline burned. I ran numbers, margin spreads, projections. His severance, the thing he thought bought my silence, was now a weapon. 8:04 a.m., I arrived at a nondescript building 2 hours outside the city. No logo, just a keypad door and flickering fluorescence. Vince Caldwell, Moga's founder, met me in a grimy break room, coffee burnt in a foam cup. You really want this headache? He rasped. You buy in, you own every skeleton since '97. I smiled. I'm a logistics woman. I know how to fight demons. He tossed the folder over. 51% is yours. Just wire the funds. I did. Used the severance. Sold old Bitcoin. Took a loan from my sister's trust, the one I swore I'd never touch unless blood spilled. Blood had spilled. It tasted like Bradley's smoothie. 11:45 a.m., I owned Moga. 1:30 p.m., I was interim chairwoman. 2:10 p.m., I drafted a logistics restructuring letter. The blow to Whitmore Corp came velvet-wrapped, hammer-heavy, a proposal to raise transport fees 18% with priority delays due to strategic congestion. Bradley wouldn't see it coming. He didn't know what Moga was. That was procurement's problem. He'd only feel the storm once it hit. At 3:26 p.m., my phone buzzed. Houston area code. I let it ring. Then a message, we need to talk. Your move didn't go unnoticed, K. Just one letter, K. My stomach twisted. Only one person signed with that. Katrina Whitmore, Bradley's mother, the ex-wife of the CEO. 6 years ago at a merger conference, she whispered, "You're smarter than all of them. You just hide it too well." Then she vanished. Divorce, sold her 12% stake, silent. Now she knew. A mistake? Or had the battlefield been set for me? Only 5 people at Moga knew I held 51%. No reason to leak. Ownership records weren't public yet. Katrina had a mole, or was the mole herself? She used to be scarier than her husband, ran marketing like silk-wrapped steel. Staff called her Velvet Blade. You got fired before you knew it. Then she disappeared. No LinkedIn, no press, just a footnote in a quarterly report. 5:12, I texted, what do you want? She replied, dinner. Just us, no games. Bellies, 7 sharp. Bellies, where power whispers. No menus needed, the staff already knows. She chose the battlefield. Not a meeting, a move. 7 p.m. Katrina sat there, red wine swirling in a glass pricier than rent. Ageless, golden-haired, eyes sharp. No hello. She slid an envelope across the table. Inside, 3 photos. Bradley shaking hands with Vince Caldwell. Share transfer documents dated 2 weeks before mine. Emails between Bradley and Harrison Drake, CFO of Moga, discussing vertical integration. My blood froze. He tried to beat you, Katrina said softly, but arrogance blinded him. He never checked who controlled majority shares. You blocked his merger. He wanted Moga for his daddy's company? I asked, dry-mouthed. She nodded. Bradley's lean strategy was controlling the supply chain, inflating value, and cashing out in 2 years. She paused, looked at me. You just destroyed it. I leaned back. You bragging? She smiled, no warmth. This is an offer. You keep Moga, I want 5% silent stake. You lead, I feed intel. 6 months, he's dangling on the string you pull. I smirked, bitter. Why should I trust you? Her gaze went steel, because I hate my son more than you do. Silence. 2 women bleeding for the same throne. I picked up the wine list. If I'm burning a dynasty, I want something decent to toast with. 3 days later, the first hit came, not from Bradley, but from accounting. An internal audit request slammed into Moga, sharp, cold, demanding clarity on vendor ownership, neutral tone, clear threat. Bradley suspected. Someone talked, probably Harrison Drake, the weak-willed CFO. Phone lit up. Warehouse managers, procurement heads, analysts I'd trained 3 years ago, panicked. Sarah, do you really own Moga? Rumors say you're pulling transport from Whitmore. Please, don't destroy our department. I realized Bradley's best weapon, fear. Fear in whispers, in hesitation. Fear that choosing the wrong side meant exile. That night, Katrina called. Told you. He sniffs trouble. He's not smart, but he's paranoid and dangerous. I paced barefoot in my apartment, wine untouched, storm wind through the window. What now? I asked. He'll play victim, she said. Say you're unstable, vengeful, emotionally erratic. I rubbed my temples. That might work, if I hadn't already negotiated 3 new transport lines, cutting losses 8%. Katrina whispered, hit him personal. Career threats bounce off. Shame before the board? That crushes him. Next morning, I called Gerald Finn, owner of FinTech Distribution, one of Whitmore's biggest clients. 2 years ago, Bradley got drunk at a Vegas expo, told Gerald's wife she looked like a budget Ivanka. Deals stayed out of inertia. But now, over coffee, I slid a paper across. Exclusive Moga distribution rates. 10% cheaper. On-time delivery. 18-month flat fees. Gerald looked, laughed. He stomped the wrong throat. I sipped my latte. I'm giving you the boot to finish it. He signed that afternoon. Friday. Whitmore's logistics team was in chaos. A leaked email, thanking an intern, subject line, urgent, FinTech suspended. Who approved this? Bradley hadn't shown up at headquarters for 2 days. Rumors said he was working remotely, which meant sweating in his overpriced apartment, blaming everyone but himself. That weekend, a courier envelope arrived. No return address, just my name, printed in all caps. Inside, a Polaroid photo. Bradley, shirtless, holding a glass of whiskey, arm around Harrison Drake, Moga's CFO. Timestamp Thursday, 3:44 a.m. On the back, handwritten ink, everyone has leverage, you just have to know where to press. K. I froze. It wasn't blackmail, it was a message. Katrina wasn't just feeding information, she was orchestrating the entire play. She'd watched every move, every shadow, every secret. That night, I didn't lose sleep over the photo, though seeing Bradley drunk and clinging to a CFO like some frat boy was disgusting. What haunted me was the meaning. I was the biggest instrument in her symphony of destruction. Sunday, I called Katrina. The truth. How long have you been planning this? She didn't hesitate, since the day old man Whitmore called me a brand liability and paid me to disappear. I gripped the phone. 6 years? Storms need the right time, she said coldly. You showed up like lightning in a bottle. I laughed, bitter. So when this is over, what do you get? Revenge? She paused. Her voice turned sharp. I want my company, not in name, in truth. I don't care who falls. Her word falls wasn't a metaphor. Katrina was all in. And if I wasn't careful, I'd be collateral damage. Monday. An email landed. Subject urgent. Moga suspended as supplier. Bradley froze all Moga orders, citing failed quality audit from a non-existent report. Payments halted. Communications rerouted to legal, a corporate siege. I laughed. He didn't know I'd already rerouted half the shipments through a shell supplier I secretly owned. Goods were still arriving at his warehouse, just with different labels. His suspension meant nothing. But optics matter. I needed to strike publicly. I wrote an open letter. Short, elegant, sharp. Moga remains committed to quality and service. Shipping delays are due to internal client policy changes, not reflective of our logistics performance, but their disorder. We are ready to serve any contract, but never at the cost of integrity. At 2:13 p.m., I sent it. By 2:26, Whitmore collapse was trending on Twitter. By 3:00, 2 major clients called Moga, asking if they could bypass Whitmore and order directly. At 4:07, Katrina messaged, "Nice work, Queen. He's pacing his father's office, calling it sabotage. Guess what? His dad's in a board meeting." Second message, grainy security photo. Bradley in a conference room, across from a lawyer in a gray suit, the kind that comes with exit deals. He was prepping to sue me. Let him try. 8:01 a.m., the lawsuit arrived. Whitmore Corp. versus Sarah Tan. Emergency injunction. The accusations read like bad TV drama. Malicious interference. Corporate espionage. Conflict of interest. Emotional instability leading to revenge-driven acquisition. I read it 3 times, slowly. He didn't want to win, he wanted delay. The injunction could freeze Moga's new contracts for weeks, enough time to stir chaos, to paint me as the destroyer before the board. But he didn't know. I had evidence. At noon, I walked into Whitmore Tower with Eliza Hart, my attorney. She'd never lost, and didn't flinch. Emergency board meeting. Bradley thought it would be an ambush. Eliza handed out the black folder, like party favors. Timeline. Illicit communication between Bradley and Moga's CFO. Attempts to inflate shipping costs. Freight routed through a proxy company, quietly owned by him. We traced the shell firm's ownership. At the very bottom, Bradley's name. Misspelled, but notarized. The folder hit the table. The room froze. Bradley stammered, "This is misrepresented." Eliza cut him off. "You deceived your own company. The person you tried to bury just sold the land beneath you." He turned red, his throat caught. "She staged this. She bought Moga to destroy us." I stepped forward. "Wrong. I bought Moga to survive. You turned it into sabotage when you tried to erase my career. You started this war thinking I'd go quietly. Now here we are." Silence. The board didn't speak, but their eyes did. Robert Whitmore, his father, removed his glasses, leaned forward. "Bradley, son, leave the room now." Bradley looked at me, his eyes sharp as knives, but his face shattered, the spoiled child behind the title exposed. Robert turned to me, his voice low. "You planned all of this?" "No," I answered, calm. "He planned it. I just aimed better." Silence stretched. Then he asked, "What do you want for this to go away?" I saw fear in his eyes. Not regret, but risk. Shareholder lawsuits, SEC investigations, a media disaster. I could burn them to the ground, but I leaned in. No money, no quiet settlements. I want a clean public split between Whitmore and Moga, and Bradley's resignation. On paper. His jaw clenched. "You leave no exit." "I leave the company," I said. "Better me than him." He nodded, handed me the pen. 36 hours later, the press release went out. Bradley Whitmore departs Whitmore Corp. To pursue new opportunities. No mention of lawsuits or Moga, or how security escorted him out as he screamed into a Bluetooth headset like a game show loser. The board did their part. I signed the settlement. Clean, sterile, legal. But victory didn't feel like victory. I sat in my car outside the courthouse, staring at the dashboard as if it owed me answers. Bradley was arrogant, clumsy, but not careless enough to leave a notarized trail, messy proxies. Unless someone sharpened the knife for him. The phone buzzed. Unknown number. Voicemail. Katrina's voice, close to confession. "If you're hearing this, I'm already gone. I did what I had to do, Sarah. That company was mine before Robert stole it. I needed a fall guy, and Bradley was born for the role. Don't be shocked. You got what you wanted. Now take it. And leave." Cold washed over me. She had scripted me. Every step, every leak, every whisper. Katrina didn't just want revenge. She wanted resurrection. On the ashes of her son and me. Her matchstick. I drove to Belly's, the cafe she named in her message. Closed. Too early to serve. On the door, a white envelope. Inside, a signed and notarized document, transfer of 12% Moga shares to me. My hands trembled, heart pounding like a war drum. I now held 63% of Moga, alone, no partners, no shadows. Katrina was gone, no social media, no ghost numbers, her shell funds dissolved. She erased herself, left me with an empire and deafening silence. 3 weeks passed. Moga exploded. Clients who once ignored my emails now begged for contracts. I renegotiated shipping routes, automated distribution, and pulled Whitmore's logistics director. He resigned, laughing, and brought his entire team with him. The empire thrived, but every win tasted like ash. I didn't see a queen. I saw a woman holding a blood-stained crown. Theirs, hers, mine. Late Friday, an envelope arrived, no return address. My name in her familiar blue ink. Inside, an old photo. Katrina in a hospital bed, holding a newborn. Bradley Whitmore, 1993. And a letter. Sarah, you were born to lead. I couldn't reach the end without breaking a few bones, including my own. Bradley wasn't always a monster, but power doesn't forgive softness. We all carry ghosts. This is my last gift. No strings, no shadows. You lead now. Don't become me. I sat in my office until sunrise, photo in hand as if it had a heartbeat. I could sell, expand, disappear. But no. Monday, I walked into the boardroom, alone, no lawyers, no allies. I looked each director in the eye and said, I'm not here to be queen. I'm building something no man, no heir, no ghost can burn down. They nodded. The room was mine, not inherited, but earned. Somewhere I hoped Katrina smiled. The woman she used was gone. What remained was a builder, and she was just getting started. If you've ever been called a burden, push to the margins. Stand up. Don't scream. Don't beg. Sharpen your next move in silence. When the moment comes, you won't need fire. Just presence. Sharp. Unshakable. I never needed their throne. I carved my own. And so can you. Empires aren't inherited, they're forged, even if it costs you blood. I choose to keep carving. What do you choose?